Hey, Barry Cloyd back with you again, and today we are looking at an operation from the very top down. We're here at Taloma Farmers Grain, Allen Station. We're 150 feet up in the air on top of the biggest grain elevator you've ever seen in your life. If you look around, you can see for 10 to 20 miles around all directions. It's beautiful. Today we're going to find out what happens when that little soybean decides to take a journey. The journey is going to be to market. This operation here loads those soybeans on train car, and today we're going to see what an operation like this is all about, how it's managed, how it's staffed, learn all kinds of good things. So you ready for an adventure? Come on, let's head downstairs and find out what's going on. Really? Very cool. Today, we are at Taloma Grain's Allen Station. This is Fred. Fred, nice to meet you. He's the general manager here. He's going to give us an idea how soybeans are transported by truck and train. Fred, what are we standing on?
This is an 80-foot truck scale. The farmer pulls up through here, up to this telephone. He picks up the phone and calls into the scale operator and says whose soybeans it is. At that time, she weighs the truck. She probes the truck and pulls the sample back into the office. The grade is taken to make sure the quality's right, and she will radio the person up at the dump pit, and by computer he will put the grain where it needs to go.
Well, Fred, you used a term that sort of stopped me in my tracks, the quality of the soybeans. What do you mean by quality of the soybeans?
The quality of soybeans normally is moisture and test weight. If there's a test weight problem, normally there isn't. Moisture is the biggest concern we have, and of course the foreign material, if the beans are clean, and that's what we're really looking for.
Okay. Well, what would happen if a farmer brought his truck full of soybeans in and they were rejected? The quality wasn't what you were looking for.
Well, we'd have to separate those soybeans, and they probably would go to a different market than what we would with our beans that normally is one yellow soybeans, that what we normally try to ship out of here.
So they're still usable? They just...
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. They're just a little poor quality, and you don't really see a lot of that.
So you said they put a probe down in the truck?
This
thing
probe,
right
we call it probe. It's a core sample. In other words,
Let's go take a look.
Basically it lowers into the truck and it basically forces the probe down through into the bottom of the truck, and takes basically a core sample. And when that sample is taken, then she'll suck that sample back into the scale operator, where she will grade it for quality.
Okay, Fred, let's say I'm a farmer.
Okay.
Got the harvest completed, or I'm working on it, and I've got a truck coming in here, and I pull up on the scale. What's the first thing that I do?
First thing you do is you pull up to this location and you pick up the phone, which automatically calls in the office and says this, gives her the billing, whose soybeans it is, and everything she needs. And then she'll tell you, after she runs the sample, where to go up here as far as the elevator.
Okay, so this is a scale and it's active right now.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Well, this thing says it's 600 pounds. Last time I checked, I didn't weigh 300 pounds. What's the story on that?
Well, we have three people here.
We got our camera guy.
Camera guy's a pretty heavy guy.
Yeah.
Farmer looks up all the time and sees exactly what his weights are. So he knows what he's got when he comes in, and he also has the same going out, so he knows what his empty weight. Plus he gets a computer ticket up there.
Well, this thing is sensitive. What's the least amount of weight it would
20
pick
pounds.
Up? Really?
20 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is cool. So Fred, a farmer comes in, he picks up the phone, he makes the phone call, the weight is registered, they do the probe, they're testing the grain, everything looking good. What's the next step?
Next step is if through the phone that the scale operator will tell him which dump pit to go to dump the grain.
And then he just heads off.
And he heads off.
All right. Shall we? So we're following the path the truck's going to take when it comes into the elevator. We've got everything, the preliminaries all done, and we're headed toward the dump pits. Okay, we're here at pit number 2. What happens now, Fred?
Pit number 2, basically the farmer pulls up here, and this pit holds about 1,200 bushel, and basically pulls up as this pit employee here will open his truck up or wagon and dump it in this pit. After that, the control operator over there on the computer will, just depending on the grade of the grain that was phoned up here from the office, he will put it on the computer and separate the grain in either of these silos where his quality is concerned.
All right, you mentioned the control room. Sounds like the nerve center of this place. Should we go check it out?
Let's check it out.
Let's do it.
Show you what happens here.
Right.
This is the control room.
Hey Rick, I'm Barry.
Glad to meet you, Barry.
Nice to meet you. So tell me what happens here in the computer room.
Well, as we receive the grain from the office area up there in the scales, then that directs us where we got to put that grain.
So it can go various places?
Several different bins. If
Depending
need be.
on quality?
Yes,
Okay, quality meaning moisture content and the whole thing.
yes, the entire thing of the quality.
All right, so what's up with this?
This is our computer, which we operate the elevator with, where we can direct that grain to any bin we wish. And it also monitors all the motors and all of that. And as I can go through that, then we can change the picture and look at different things that's under the ground.
Now, Fred told me there's a big old expensive grain dryer out there. Now, does that get controlled from this console as well?
Yes, we can control the dryer by the computer and also direct that grain to each and every bin as we fill up through the harvest season.
So, in the midst of the harvest, let's say, is this running most of the time?
Runs all the time.
All the time. My. So what does something like that cost?
To operate,
Just to build?
about $1 million.
Oh man. Does this show functionality? If something breaks down and doesn't work, does it tell you?
Yes, it will. We have an interlock system on all the equipment that if one piece doesn't work like it ought to, then the rest of the equipment is automatic shutdown.
This is a big operation, folks.
Yeah, it's mighty expensive equipment, but works well.
That's great. Well, shall we continue on our journey? See where we go next? All right, Rick, thanks for your help, man. Good information.
You're welcome.
I'll talk to you later. See ya. All right, Fred. What's the story here?
Well, you got $1 million dryer here.
Yeah.
We have 2 wet of soybeans. We can use this dryer. Normally it's used on corn, but it also can be used on soybeans also.
Okay, so how is this powered?
Powered, but basically by LP gas and of course electricity. We got a lot of fans in there for aeration with the heat, and it does a real nice job of drying.
So once the grain is dry, mostly corn, but sometimes soybeans, once they're dry, they're really hot. So then what?
Well, basically, Rick will take back and put it in some of the other bins, and we'll cool it down with aeration.
Okay. I noticed there's all kinds of like underground stuff, and we're elevated above what a lot of the action. How does that work?
Yeah, everything here, we see a lot of things above ground here like the dryer net, but everything underground, all of our unloading capacities and is all underground in tunnels here. So there's a lot of things underground here that we don't see. All the elevation equipment, of course, as you can see, is a big elevating legs that move the grain up and put it in the silos.
Okay.
And everything is basically most of it's on rubber belt, so we try to maintain as much quality as we can.
This is a big operation, and I'm impressed by the size of this whole thing. There's a lot of money and a lot of work that's gone into putting this together. Does one person own all of it?
No, we're cooperative. By that, we have 1,000 owners, and those owners they own Taloma Farmers.
Okay.
And they vote a board of directors in to represent their interest, and I work for that board of directors.
Now let's say you've got a banner year. You've got a harvest that's just a bin buster, as they say, and then what happens to the profits?
Basically, it's our year ends runs from June to end of June. Okay. And of course, whatever profits there is, it's basically the board takes a look at that, and so much money goes to further expansion. The balance of money goes back to the owners in share of patronage. So we continue to try to upgrade our facilities to meet the demand of the future farmer. This used to be an old farmer's elevator that had sat idle for several years, and the Taloma Farmers at that time was farmed from Consolidated Co-op, and they took this over, and because the rail Union Pacific main line here, we decided to try to get into a shuttle loading operation, and that's what we did.
Now, you mentioned locomotive, and I think that's pretty interesting. Let's go check it out, shall we? All right. I get to drive that thing?
If you want to drive, Rick will fix you right up.
I do. Behind us, we got a locomotive. That is cool. Now, is that just kind of a switch engine?
Just basically a switch engine, it is. And
How does that work?
Well, when they bring trains in here for us to load, they'll bring in 100 cars, and we'll pull 20 at a time and load 20 at a time. There's 2 parallel tracks, and as we load cars, the switch engine will push the cars back and make up a 100-car train. The main locomotives that brought the train in are sitting over here on this left track, and when we're through, then they cab them back from the hotel, and they hook on back to the train in probably in 15, 16 hours, and then they head on back where they come from.
So that's their downtime.
That's their
You
downtime.
guys are working during their downtime.
That's right.
Getting it ready to go.
We have to have it loaded within so many hours. Yeah.
Okay.
That's how it works.
Well, check it out. We probably ought to move.
I think that's probably a good idea.
Let's do it. After these train cars get loaded and the switch engine moves them into a long train of grain, how do you keep track of what's in the bin, what's in the cars, the railroad cars? You come in and load them. How do you keep track of how much and where they're going and all of that?
Each car has a nameplate on the car. You've got not only the number of the car, but it's also a little computer that reads how much weight's supposed to be on that car. Okay, and that little computer reader's right here.
This little thing on the pole down here.
Right, as the cars come in for us, our locomotives pulls them in as we load them. Why, it's transferred up to computer up the control room, and it tells that computer exactly how much weight to put on that car. This is one of the main operation points of the whole facility, is this facility here. Of course, this is where we load the cars.
Right.
Above here you'll see a hopper scale, which is fully computerized. It basically weighs the car as we load. It's a continuous flow of grain. It weighs the grain as we load the car. Above that is a cleaning system where we could clean the grain if the grain has got some farm material in it. We can clean it out and make sure that we can have the grade that we have sold on that car.
You know, as we walk around this place, I've noticed there's a lot of dangerous stuff here. You've got trucks, you've got trains, you've got tall ladders that take you up on top of these huge bins. And what's this yellow railing system here? What's that all about, Fred?
This is a safety. In other words, everybody that works on top of these cars, normally there's one man on top of the cars that open the doors and close. He's on a full body harness and he's hooked to this all the way through, so he can walk, and it keeps him from, in other words, if he'd fall, it would catch him. So he's fully protected as far as falling off the cars, because we load these cars all night, all kinds of different weather conditions. So safety is very important to this company, and we try our best to make sure our employees are safe.
Hey, Rick!
Hey, how you doing?
What's up?
Doing.
So you
Hey,
do this
running
too,
an
huh?
engine.
Running the engine. Oh, this is cool. So I get to drive this thing?
Yeah, I'll let you drive.
Oh, man. Like a bucket list kind of thing. Driving a locomotive. Yeah, well, let's do it. Drive a locomotive.
You want to set in?
Sure,
All right.
sure. Well, I got the right hat, because you got to have an engineer's hat.
Hey,
Right?
that's an engineer's
Did it
hat.
work? Okay. All right, what do we do here?
Take this shifter and push that to the north. Over here is your handbrake.
Yeah.
You can take that off.
Push
Just
back
push
this way?
down and pull it all the way to your left. This would be your throttle.
Yeah. Give it a little
just,
bit.
Just a little bit, till you 1 or 2 notches. And that'll get us in motion.
Oh, yeah.
Now this be your handbrake.
Okay.
So when you gotta stop, you're trying to stop 300,000 pounds there, so it takes a while.
You tell me when. Do I put this back in neutral or back down?
Yes, just idle that down, let it go slow, and just slowly put your handbrake on.
Whoa, yeah! Oh, is that cool? Well, you know, I didn't know I was going to have this much fun today. Driving a locomotive. It's all part of the deal, all part of the process. This is how those soybeans get to market. One of the ways anyway. We're going to explore all kinds of ways soybeans get to market. But this is the best.
Hey, do you want to blow that horn?
Yeah, are you kidding me? Let's do this. It's official. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
I got to drive a locomotive. What about that, huh? I love it. There's always more to the story, and this is just a little piece of what provides the food on your table. I'd like to thank those folks here at the Allen Station, Taloma Grain, Rick and Fred and all those guys. But don't go anywhere. Stick around, because there's more to come.